everyone, welcome to Watch It, Paint It. In this video I'm going to do a little unboxing of the Everlasting Wet Palette. I'll also do sort of my initial thoughts and like why I backed this on Kickstarter. So I did back this myself on Kickstarter. It's arrived today, this morning, here it is, and we're ready to go. Been discussing on Patreon about some upcoming videos, and one of the biggest things we were voting on were sort of painting tools and reviews and that sort of thing. And I thought I'd start early. This has just arrived. Let's get in with discussing this tool. This is a wet palette. Now, I've used wet palettes in the past. When I first started painting, actually the very first thing I did was use a wet palette, and I had a load of issues with that. Now I know it's really recommended to use wet palettes, but it wasn't for me. Now I'm hoping after years of experience now I could use the wet palette a little bit better. So I had issues with the paint just being thin when you put it on and way too thin once it absorbed some of that water through the palette. I also had issues with it going moldy. The palette I felt was too big, it took up too much space, and that was about it. I think that was my initial problems, and this in theory should fix it. So let's have a look at the box. This is the Everlasting Wet Palette, as I mentioned. This is the painter set version, so it's like the smaller version. You can get a bigger one if you're more of a hardcore painter. I think if you use proper paints, you're not painting miniatures. But this size, even this size looks too big for me. I could probably do with half of that. Again, it was tested and approved by pro painters. My invite to that must have been lost in the post. Awkward. And it's by Redgrass Games, so that's who makes it. And then around the box it tells you about the content, but we'll have a look what's in it. It tells you about how it's been perfectly designed, good plastic, leak resistant, airtight. So I'm hoping that'll stop my paint's drying out and it going moldy. So that's two issues this might solve, which I was hoping from the Kickstarter. You can use the top lid as a side palette. So actually, reading on their website as well, this comes in two parts, and you're going to be able to unfold it, and you can put a piece of the wet palette, the foam and the paper on both sides, and you'll be able to have two of them if you were painting with some friends and you needed one each. It's got magnetic attachments for add-on. I mean, we'll look at this in a second. And then it's got advanced hydration system. So all of these things, stable hydration for hours, excellent. And it's supposed to they boast that this has got the best hydration system, no overflowing, which is good because my paint's got way too thin in my opinion, and no bleeding. So they shouldn't run into each other, which is another problem I had, or at least that's my understanding of these two. So let's have a look. I've sort of explained why I have backed this. I'm quite excited to see how this works. Obviously, I can't really do a review of that yet, with it just arriving today. You will have to wait for that. And I will do one because, to me, I'm going into this personally hating wet palettes. I had a really bad experience, but the Kickstarter sold it to me enough that this should fix my problem. So we'll find out in a few weeks. So we pop that open and we presented. It's all sealed up, very neatly packaged, let's say. Bright orange. There was no choice of colour, which I think was actually a little bit of a letdown. Obviously I would prefer it in red and black to go with the channel, given the choice. Oh my god, I've just glued it together. There we go. And one last bit in here, and then we'll try and do this away from the microphone because I bet that's annoying. Let's have a look at what you get in the box. It does say on the side of the box. I could have just read it to you, but that's not very exciting. So here's the plastic, the palette. Yeah, let's call this bit the palette. And so it's got magnets on three sides. So these are for accessories. Again, they only sold one accessory and it just came with that. I couldn't see any other accessories on the Kickstarter. To me, that was a little bit of a letdown. Like, I want different accessories already, unless I'm mistaken. So let's open this up, and it certainly is airtight. Like, I can't get in that. Oh, okay, that was pretty hard. So that's really well sealed. By the way, I don't think that would have been hard if the camera wasn't in my way. I can't really get the angle to open it. So let's try popping it back down. Oh, what? Is that it? Wow, I sort of just rested that on and it's sealed. Okay. So it's nowhere near as difficult now. That was that breaking the initial seal. So that's that. And then you get this rubber. No, it's not rubber. Sorry, it's like elastic. That's the word. Elastic band, but a material one. And you pop that round there, like so. And Oh yeah, that's good. Oh yeah. That's not going to come apart. So that must be why they say it's leak resistant, because no way could that be leak proof. Like, it's just not tight enough. This is really easy to open with quite a lot of pressure to do that against the band. But that's nice. That's nice and easy in and out. But it's certainly not going to fall off or anything. That should be, and it does look like it's airtight with that rubber seal. So that's the palette. In this kit, you get 50 hydration sheets. Works best with their palette and their foam. So this is the paper that you put the paint on top of. So that'll slide in there. Oh, I got 100. Beg your pardon. There's 2 packs. They sell them in 50s, I presume, and I've got 100 of them. And they supplied 2 foams. So I've got 2. So I've even got one long-lasting, and they should be mold resistant. They are. So we can have a look at this, I suppose. Use up. Not that I don't think any of you guys could imagine how to do this. I sure wish I had a knife nearby. I've returned with a knife. Let's give that a quick slice. Should be a little bit more careful when I'm cutting next to a piece of foam that I do actually want to use. Look at that. It's got moisture on the inside. Soaked up some moisture. Interesting. It does feel a little bit damp. That's a bit weird. Must have got them wet, but you know, it's not mouldy, so who knows how long it's been in there, but that's done well. It's got the logo on there if anybody cares. It's just a nice little touch. Okay, so that fits in there with quite a bit of space, lots of room for there. And then you would add in some water. I won't do that because you definitely can imagine how to do that, I am sure. Now these do unwrap, so these are resealable, which is good because you're only really going to want a single sheet out of here. If I can get a single sheet with my fat hands. Here we go. So it's just like parchment paper, and that's going to fit on there. Look at it bending away. What's that? A bit of rubbish. Oh, my window's open and the trees are blowing bits inside my house. Joy. Oh my, go away, little thing. There we go. Right, so that sits on there, and when that's wet, maybe I should wet it. Be right back once more. Right, I am back once more, and now it's nice and wet, and let's pop the paper on now. That's better. So now the paper's just sticking straight to it because it's wet. Oh look, the paper's much smaller than the foam. Did I not know? Foam. Did I not notice that? Or is it just the angle? So we can flatten that down now it's wet. It's just going to stick to it nicely. That's it. There we go. Few wrinkles in it, but I've found that has never mattered in the past. So here's the accessory you get with it. It's just don't need a knife for that. It also pops open if I could do it. There we go. So it's just like some additional non-wet bits, and that snapped on nicely. That sticks straight on the magnet there. Grab some paint, see how it does. But as I mentioned, I will do a review later on. I just wanted to show you this product as it arrived. Well, it takes paint. I don't know what I was expecting from that. And that's nice. It does feel like it's thinned it already. A little bit thick. But I think you give it a few seconds to settle. Need something to paint on. Can I paint on the packaging? That's alright. That's about as well as I expected to be able to paint on clear plastic with a cheap brush that I've just grabbed. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely soaking up some of that water through that. That's it. That's the Red Grass Games wet palette, an everlasting wet palette, apparently. We will find out. I will come back and do a review. Let me know in the comments below if you've got this product, if you've already been using it, how you've got along with it. Also, let me know if you would like to see the review, so it might hurry me along. Thank you all very much for watching.